right. Thank you all so much for joining us here this evening. My name is Olivia, pronouns she, her. I am one of the program advisors here at Brown University Pre-College. Thank you again for joining us this evening. This session is intended for current rising 9th through 12th grade Providence Public School District students and their families. If you or your student does not attend one of the schools that are on the screen currently in front of us, the following information will not apply. Um, just a general agenda for this evening, an overview of the session that will be held. The very first thing that I'll address is that we do have interpretation services available in Spanish this evening. There will be a globe down at the bottom of your screen. If you click that globe, everyone must select either English or Spanish. If you're joining on a phone or tablet, you'll want to click the three dots down at the bottom of your screen in order to find those interpretation services that are available. This presentation this evening will take somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes. We will cover a brief overview of pre-college and the PPSD scholarship. We're going to be providing a live walkthrough of our application process. And throughout the walkthrough, we will also answer your questions pertaining to the application process. The webinar will also be recorded and available later on our YouTube page. So you're more than welcome to revisit it or share it with any of your other members of your PPSD community. Some quick housekeeping items. Closed captioning is available this evening. You can find it by clicking the CC button down below. I also would encourage you all to use the question and answer function this evening. You're welcome to submit any questions that you may have. Additionally, if you have any other questions that are not either presented this evening or that you would like to explore more information, it is available on our website here at precollege.brown.edu. So next up, we have our wonderful Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Access, Joi-Danelle Whitehead. She will be sharing a little bit of information about herself and then giving a general overview of what pre-college is. Thanks for joining us, Joy.
Thanks, Olivia. Good evening. I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Joy Whitehead. I use she, her pronouns. And as Olivia mentioned, I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Access for Brown Pre-College. I have been here since 2016 and really enjoy connecting with families, students, and administrators, faculty, counselors, and staff in our local school districts. And so one of the most important parts of my work with the pre-college programs is really sharing information about our programs and scholarship opportunities for Providence Public School District students specifically. A little bit about myself. I was born in Providence, raised here in Rhode Island. I'm a former middle and high school teacher who then transitioned into college access and persistence work, and am really excited that I get to talk to you a little bit about our pre-college programs, because I do see them certainly as an important tool in preparing students for their college experience. And so just excited to talk to you about it today. I will transition into kind of giving a general overview of our pre-college programs. I know many of you have probably already visited our website and perhaps even participated in other webinars, but important to note that each year we welcome more than 6,000 high school students from over 70 countries, including students from across the United States who choose to spend part of their summer with us. And, students are here in Providence and also at locations around the world or online. And so we have really robust programming opportunities. Our students explore over 300 courses that are intentionally crafted to emulate the undergraduate open curriculum here at Brown. The structure of our pre-college programs really reflect the freedoms and the responsibilities that are critically important parts of the college experience. So as a result, students will really balance the challenge of college level academics with enriching social activities and educational workshops that are available, whether you choose or your student chooses to study on campus in one of our kind of abroad programs or online. Kind of regardless of which program your student or you are interested in, the first step in your pre-college experience is completing our application. Our application really is designed to mirror the common application used by many colleges and universities when students are applying for undergraduate admissions. So this can really, our process can really help students prepare you for that college application process, including adding transcripts and uploading transcripts and thinking through and crafting an essay based on a unique and specific writing prompts. Our summer 2024 application is now open. It's been open for a little bit over a month, and our deadline for applying is Friday, May 10th. And so that's our broader deadline. I do want to, and I'll talk about this a little bit later as well, but it's important to note that our deadline for Providence Public School District students who are interested in getting the scholarship is earlier. And so students do need to apply by April 26th. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. You can find your application checklist by clicking on the apply button at the top of our website. This is where you can also find the essay prompt. So that information is available to you on the website, our grade requirements, and everything else you need to provide us with to complete your application. You'll also find a video tutorial, which can be very helpful in walking you through how to complete the application. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce my colleague, Ethan. And so Ethan's going to show you the application and walk you through it. And Ethan's the manager of Admissions and Enrollment Services. Hey, Ethan.
Hello. As Joy mentioned, I am the manager of Admissions and Enrollment Services. So what that means is I work with students' applications. I read your essays, and I help answer questions about your application as you're going through it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And what I'll do is I'm going to walk us through the entire application process from where you go ahead and start the application to all the way to how you would submit your application. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. All right. So where we are right now is our pre-college homepage. So as you can tell, this is the what Joy was just mentioning a few moments ago with the application checklist. If you use the apply button and hover over that, you can see where that checklist lives. This is really helpful if you just want some information before going into the application to see what the essay is, what the transcripts are required. All of that information is right here. So the first step when actually completing your application is to click on the login button right at the top of the page. So that's the first thing we're going to do. And if we haven't created an account, so if you're brand new, have never applied to Brown Pre-College before, this will be pertinent to you. We're going to go ahead and use the create an account button. And something that's kind of important about this page, especially as a PPSD student, is we definitely suggest using a non-PPSD email address. It is a little more helpful in communicating back and forth with you, because sometimes school email addresses have filters on them, so it can be tough to kind of get our communications to you. So try to use a non-PPSD school address when you're filling this out. And all you do is enter your first name, last name, and your email address on this page. When we click submit, it's going to set up a password just like you were creating an account on countless other websites. And once you actually have your password set up and log in, your student portal will look like this. Okay. The only difference on a new application would be, instead of continue your application, it would say start your application. All right. So I'm going to log into an application that's already started. That way you can see the process. And just excuse one thing that I will mention at the beginning. there are certainly load times in our application. So there might be a few times during this presentation where there's a little bit of downtime. The screen hasn't frozen. Sometimes it just takes a minute to catch up with us. So you might notice that when you're saving your application as well. Usually if there's a little bit of downtime, or if you see there's like green waves at the top of the screen, that's because the application is saving. So it might just take a second to catch up with you. So the first thing we're going to do is, if you've already started an application, you click Finish Application. That would bring you into the form. If you are starting a new application, this is what you would see. You would see a question asking for your high school year, or what year you're going to graduate high school, which program that you're interested in applying to. For most students, that's the pre-college program. That's the one that where students participate on campus. Or if you're interested in one of our location-based programs, that's what you would select. And then summer 2024. So once I click into that, we have the actual application. So we're going to go through this kind of step by step. So the first part of the application is all personal information. So you'll enter your name. If you would like to share, if you have like a nickname or a preferred name that you go by, this is where you would also enter that information. So if I click yes, you'll see some information come up about where where your name will be shared, and you're able to share that with us here. You'll enter your date of birth and your grade level. It will ask information about your gender identity. You can feel free to share any information that you would like to about that with us as well. As we go through, it's also going to ask for an email address. Again, I'm going to highlight, definitely try to use a non-PPSD email address for this section. Enter your phone number. Like I said, this is all just personal information. And then down at the bottom, we have a really important question for PPSD. So it's going to ask, do you attend school in the Providence Public School District? We want to make sure that we're answering yes to that question. Okay. When I get to the end of any card in our application, or any section of our application, if I hit continue, the application is going to save. So you can see the green lines at the top of the screen. This is really important to note. So if you want to enter some information, press continue. If you were to X out of this page and go back in, all of that information that you had entered will be there if you press continue. So that's just a really important thing to note. That way you can kind of save your place as you're going through this. So for example, if you fill it out and then get to the essay section and want to go work on your essay in a Word doc or a Google Doc, you can do that and then go back into your application as long as you've saved it. So the next section is going to talk about your family information. We're going to ask for parent or guardian information for contact. We will also send emails to them throughout the process as well. When I hit continue again, that would save. And the third card is going to be about your school. So as soon as I start typing, it will start coming up with one of your schools. So if I type in classical, it'll be classical. If I start typing in Central High School, it'll choose Central. And if you just type in Providence, all of the Providence school districts and schools will come up, and you can go ahead and choose the one that pertains to you. The next card is going to ask about language and citizenship. So in this card, we're just specifying whether English is your primary language, if you are a US citizen, or if you are a permanent resident, just what your citizenship status is can be answered here. The next card is pertaining to your demographics. So we're just asking information about your identity here. And now we're at another important section here about your grades or transcripts. So we're going to ask for two things in this application. We're going to ask you for your grades from this academic year. So I know a lot of you have finished 2 quarters of this year or 1 semester. We want grades to that point so far. So provide your grades for this year. And what you can do in order to attach grades, I'll show you on the next card because I've already attached this one, is just click on the no file selected, and it's going to bring up a window. And then you can go ahead and make sure that you have whichever file saved. So we accept PDF, JPEG, TIFF, pretty much the common file types, either a picture or a saved PDF of your grades. The next card after current year is previous year. So we're looking for grades from, as I mentioned before, the current school year. So if you're in 10th grade, it'll be your 10th grade grades. And then the year before that, so 9th grade. Or if you're in 9th grade, then that would be 8th grade. It would be the 2022 to 2023 school year is what we're looking for in this card. If you have already uploaded a transcript in the previous card that contains both your current and previous grades, you can just go ahead and answer this question saying, yes, I've already uploaded that. And you'll be able to move on from there without uploading anything. I will also call out, we ask how your school year is divided. For most students in the school district, it's going to be either quarters or semesters. But if your school works on trimesters, that answer is available there as well. Okay, so the next section is our writing prompt. We have 2 different essays to choose from. So you can either answer this first question or the second one there. And it's a 250 to 500 word essay. Like I mentioned before, if you hit continue on any of these pages, it will save the application and you can go ahead and pull up a Word doc or a Google Doc and type it there and then copy it back in if you'd like. Something that I will just mention there is if you do copy it back in, or even if you just submit your essay in here, the application doesn't do great with formatting. So if the formatting looks a little off, it's okay. That's not something that we're going to worry about. Just make sure that things like your grammar and the way that it's written, those are the important parts to us. Okay, so formatting is something that might get lost in just the web page there. This next question is also a really important one. So would we like to provide additional information on circumstances or qualification that's not reflected in other aspects of your application? This is a really great spot if you want to either call out some information about yourself, like if you do some extracurriculars that you think make you a strong applicant, this might be where you want to type that in. It's also a really great spot if you know maybe you have a grade that is a little lower that you want to kind of explain, like, I realized I got a C in geometry last year, but I'm really pulling my math grade up. If you see the progress that I've made, or I've worked with a tutor, if you want to just use this area to explain or to talk about situations that have led to your grades being what they are, this is a great place to do that. It kind of gives us some context about you and what we're seeing as an applicant. Okay, so this next card specifically is important if you plan on including a recommender for your application or a teacher recommendation. Basically, this would allow, if you waive your rights to your letter of recommendations, it means after you finish your course, you will not be able to view them. So that would be basically you wouldn't know what the recommender said, which is sometimes a policy for some schools. So I just suggest checking with a teacher if you do plan on having a recommendation to make sure that you know whether this is something that is required for them or not. The next page, if you do want to include a recommendation, here's some information about when we suggest that. So if you are interested in the Summer at Brown program and maybe haven't turned 15 by the start of the summer, a recommendation might be a good way to speak for your maturity or your academic standing. If you are interested in any of our programs and maybe have a lower grade that you want to help say, but I might have a C here, but this teacher is going to speak very highly of me, so maybe I can include a recommendation, and that helps strengthen your application a little. A couple things to note with the application recommendation. When I answer yes to this, it's just going to ask you on the next page for the teacher's first name and last name and their email address. What happens as soon as you enter that information here and press continue, they're going to receive an email with a pretty straightforward form that they're going to fill out electronically, and that those answers get sent right back to us. So it's very little work on their end. Should only take a few minutes to fill out, and it comes right back. So that's if you are choosing to include a recommendation for any of those reasons listed before. That's how it'll work. An email gets sent right out to the teacher. They fill out a form, and it comes back to us. The next page is just going to simply ask about your preferences for what kind of program you want to participate in. We're a few options. So if you want to attend online, you can put that on campus or off campus. You can choose those options. Something I will note, answering these questions will not basically keep you only to participating in those programs. So if you choose online, you decide you want to enroll in a on-campus program when you get accepted, that's totally okay. It's okay to have this be different than even with your academic interests. So if you select that you're really into art here, but you end up seeing an economics course that you're really interested in, that's okay. This is not going to affect which courses you can or can't take. We're going to ask on the next page just some simple questions about how you heard about us. So for example, if you got an email that told you about Brown Pre-College, you can choose that. Or if Joy came to your school and you heard about it that way, you can let us know. Just kind of gives us a little more information about how people are hearing about the program. And finally, we get to the fee waiver section. So this is another really important section. Okay, this is where you're going to be able to kind of solidify that you're a PPSD student for us, right? So we're going to always make sure if you're for a PPSD student, would you request a fee waiver? We're going to click yes. And there should be a few options here. And we're going to use I attend a school in the Providence Public School District. And then that list of schools that we showed on the screen should be here. And we're going to choose which school pertains to us. And then that'll allow me, I'm going to press continue to save it here to move on. Basically what that'll do is that'll give us a notification that you're from PPSD. It's going to sign you up for the fee waiver, and we'll also make it so that you can apply for the PPSD scholarship later on as well. All right, so now I've gone through this application. I have answered all of the questions. I'm going to use the review application button, and we're just almost done. Okay, so on this page, once you have filled out all of the information, this will say 99% complete, and we'll be able to use the submit your application button. I'm actually going to go back and do that right now so that you guys can see what it looks like. It's my information. Okay, so now when I go back to that review your application page, I should be able to see 99% complete, and I'll actually be able to submit it. The reason I want to show you that is because there's an important step to actually sign and submit the application that sometimes students miss. So excuse the saving. Okay, so now on this page, I can click submit your application. If this is grayed out for some reason, it does mean that something's missing in the application form. Go ahead and click the button at the top left corner there, and you can go back and figure out exactly where you missed. As soon as you fill it in, this should show up as red. So when I click submit, okay, and this is the final step. So I want to verify that all of the information that I put in this application is true. And I'm going to type my electronic signature here. and verify and submit. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. That is the entire application process. I think next, once you have submitted that, that's what's going to allow us to fill out the PPSD scholarship. And I think next up, Joy is going to discuss the actual PPSD scholarship form.
Thank you, Ethan, for that overview. I am going to share a little bit more about the Providence Public School District Scholarship that we offer. And I do want to kind of emphasize and just kind of reiterate something Olivia shared early on in the presentation, which is I'm focusing in this presentation is really focused on the process for students in the Providence Public School District. And so this scholarship is unique to that student population. And, you know, we can answer questions later on if there are questions about our other kind of scholarship types. So again, thank you for the overview, Ethan. I want to talk a little bit about eligibility for the Providence Public School District Scholarship. One is that students must be admitted. So while we have a dedicated scholarship for students from the Providence Public School District, I want to be very clear that students do have to meet our admissions requirements, and they need to be admitted to the program to be eligible for this funding. The second piece is to be verified as a PPSD student, excuse me. And what that means is that we have an internal process once students have submitted their applications for us to confirm that a student is actually enrolled in a Providence Public School District school. So on our end, someone is taking a look at the application materials and kind of verifying that the applicant is a student, a current student in a Providence Public School District school. Upon submission of the pre-college application, a PPSD scholarship form link does become available in the financial information tab of your student portal. And so this is important because this form is not an application. It's not a scholarship application. It's not, we're not requiring tax information. It's not a tax document. This form asks simply for information, financial information that helps us better understand the financial background of the students coming into the program and accessing this particular scholarship. The information that's provided on this form doesn't have any bearing on your admissions decision or your ability to receive the scholarship. And it's really important, and this is across all of our scholarship options, that the scholarship related processes have nothing to do with admissions decisions. Those two things are completely separate. So it's really important to know. And then finally, completion of the scholarship form. When you submit the scholarship form, you will not receive a notification of receipt. However, when you return to the financial information page in your student portal, you will notice that the form link has disappeared, and that means your form has been successfully submitted. The financial form, again, has no bearing on your admission. Only the scholarship team that we have internally is going to review that information. So when offered a PPSD scholarship, you simply will accept the award by replying to the email containing the scholarship offer and enrolling in a course within the time period specified in your award letter. And it's really important to note that failure to follow this process to accept the award and move forward with enrolling in a course could result in the forfeiture of the award. So you want to make sure that once you receive that offer that you reply and accept the award and enroll in a course. And I just want to kind of emphasize that for this specific scholarship, a full scholarship to attend our programs is guaranteed to admitted PPSD students. As long as you're following this process, you're admitted to the program and are doing it within the time frame that's been allocated. And again, I want to emphasize that while there is a broader May 10th deadline for submitting your application to our program to be considered for admission. If you are a PPSD student and are planning to take advantage of the full scholarship, you actually need to submit your application by April 26th. And so that's really important. That's the deadline. That's the deadline. If nothing else, you want to take away that is that the deadline for PPSD students is April 26th. And we highly encourage you to apply earlier. And just to provide a little bit of extra insight, applying earlier, it gives you more time, one, to receive the admissions decision, receive the information about the scholarship, and if you are admitted, to have more options in terms of your course selection. The longer that you wait and the closer you get to the submission deadline, a lot of our courses do fill, especially our more popular ones. So I want to encourage you to really consider, and if this is of interest of you and you're planning to apply, to do it as soon as possible. And for those of you who are on, well, all PPSD students are on February break right now, this is a great time to work on your application. So I hope that's helpful. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Olivia for Q&A.
Thank you so much, Joy and Ethan. You've both been wonderful, super informational. I think that we are going to be mindful of everyone's time this evening and just close out our session with some final question and answers. As I had stated at the start of this presentation, please feel free to use the Q&A feature down at the bottom of your screen for any remaining questions that you may have. I know that we have a couple of pre-submitted questions from students that I will pose to Joy to answer. The first one that we received a couple of indications about is students curious, what does the PPSD scholarship cover? So if you could share a little bit about that, that would be great.
Sure. So the PPSD scholarship covers essentially all of the billable costs. So program costs, the cost of the course. If you're living residentially, like in our residence halls, it's going to cover the cost of your room and board. So 3 meals a day. So it's covering all those key costs related to participating in the program. We also don't have additional charges for the wealth of extracurricular and co-curricular programs that we have. So all of that is kind of covered within or under the scholarship. So in that sense, what's not covered is additional courses. So I'll give the example of Summer at Brown. Typically students are enrolling in one course. If a student wants to take 2 courses, this particular scholarship is only going to cover one. And so it's important to know that. And for those students who are exploring or looking at our B programs, our experiential education programs that are on location in Barcelona and Oxford and Rome, for those programs, the scholarship does not cover travel to and from those locations. I do want to clarify, however, while we don't cover travel for those programs, and technically the scholarship doesn't cover travel for even locally, as a Brown Creek pre-college student, for those students who may be considering our commuter option. So students can live residentially, but in Summer at Brown, there is a commuter option if students are unable to live on campus. But so students who are using or are participating as a commuter student, your Brown ID that you receive as a part of being a participant in the program does give you access to free transportation on our RIPTA system here in Rhode Island and in Providence. So it's important to know that there is some advantage to having that Brown ID, and that there is some transportation support locally for commuter students. So I hope that answers the question.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Joy. Looks like we have another question that I think you had touched upon briefly earlier, but it's a question about who the PPSD scholarship is intended for.
Sure. And so this can also get a little bit confusing, right? Because we have this scholarship is specifically for students in the Providence Public School District. And on our website, there is a pretty comprehensive list that lists all of the kind of eligible schools fall under the scholarship. I think sometimes where it's confusing is that within Providence, there are also other public schools that are not a part of the district that students may be attending. And so sometimes there's confusion about whether the scholarship is also inclusive of those schools, and they are not. So it's important to know that it's specifically schools within the Providence Public School District. There is a list on our website, the same list that has just come up on the screen. Thank you. And so we have our high school list and our middle school list. And if there is any confusion, we have an awesome program advising team. Olivia is one of our awesome program advisors who are very well versed in eligibility for the scholarship and can answer any questions in that regard. But that's specifically who this particular scholarship is for. If you do not attend one of these schools, or if your student doesn't attend one of these schools, we do have other scholarship options. We do have the Sibley Scholarship, which is a broader our primary scholarship that's available for students to apply to. So I would encourage folks who are not connected to the Providence Public School District to look at that as an option.
Excellent. So looks like we have addressed all the pre-submitted questions. It doesn't appear that there are any additional questions coming in through the Q&A right now. But I wanted to, first of all, thank you both, Joy and Ethan, for joining us here this evening. Super informative. I'm sure that it's helpful for me. I hope that it was helpful for some of the PPSD students that were joining us this evening. Additionally, I would encourage anyone who had questions that weren't addressed or that pop up after this presentation. Just like Joy said, please reach out to our team. The program advisors, we really try to make sure that we are connected to the answers for any questions that students and families may encounter. So please either send us an email at precollege@brown.edu or give us a call. Our phone number is right on that screen there, 401-863-7900. Can also be found on our website. And we also encourage everyone to follow us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We have a TikTok. If you, again, have any questions about anything that's there, reach out to us. And this video will also be posted to our YouTube channel probably next week. So feel free to either share that video with other members of the PPSD community or revisit it if there's anything that we talked about that you're curious about. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, and we look forward to hearing from you soon and hopefully seeing you on campus or online joining us this coming summer. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. Take care.